Today is the 21st, and I basically didn't record on the 18th because I have been very busy. I was a speaker at an event and I killed it. I did so well at my speech that I got a standing ovation for the first time in my life. So that was exciting. It was almost a full 2 minutes too. And it's a little awkward because you're just like, blushing and like, okay, I'll put the mic back. Okay, no, everybody's still cheering. Okay, I'll bow. No, everybody's still cheering. Okay, I guess I'll bow again. Like, you don't know what to do a little bit with yourself. And like, I couldn't even like look at everybody because I was like overwhelmed, I guess. So I just eventually like got off the stage before they were even done cheering because I was just like, okay, I can't take the clapping anymore, kind of a thing. But it was good. It was enjoyable. It's a great thing. I'm very happy about it, but yeah. So I was not able to record for the 18th because I was busy doing event stuff and being Mr. Popular Pants. So I'm doing uh well at school, so that's good, and I'm doing well with trying to get into the career path that I want. Um, so that's really good. I'm happy about all that. I am getting zero electrolysis, and I tried to work with the place that had been doing it for free and um, see if there was a way that I could still do that. And they thought about letting me like help with their books and stuff, but since I'm still a student, I was very open and honest that I cannot 100% confidently say that I'm good to do that. And if you want to let me try, sure. But if you don't want to, I understand. And they decided they didn't want me to. I have not gotten any information about electrolysis restarting with whoever bought out the old place that was an hour and a half away. So I am completely stuck. And I had started gaining weight again and preparing to get ready for the surgery. And now I'm like stuck and feel so trapped. And I am trying not to think about it because, again, school's going well. My career, path seems to be going in the right direction, but my personal life, not so much. My surgeries, not so much. So it's difficult because there's such highs and lows in my life right now. Like, man, I had to get re-diagnosed with everything so that I could get accommodations at school because while I am a 4.0 student so far for the whole first year, I kind of lucked out on that for one of my summer courses. They had most of the stuff be online work, but there was this exam system where you go in person to this room and there's like 40 to 60 other people there, and it was just distraction central. And after my midterm, and I didn't do that great on my midterm as I would have liked, you know, my teacher believed me because I went before the midterm and I said, "Oh, I'm worried." And she believed me after the midterm. She was like, "Okay, yeah. So for your exam, let's try to pretend like you have accommodations, even though it's not on record. I highly recommend you put it on record." I was like, "Okay, okay. I promise I will try to do that." And so I kept my word, but man, she was like, "I have to be at the school anyway, so just come early and we'll just have you do the exam before everybody else does." And she reserved this room that hadn't been used in like a year, and it was so dusty. Oh my gosh, and I'm allergic to dust. So, it was like bad. And like 16 minutes into my exam, I go knock on the door. She turns around and she's like, "Oh my God." I was like, "I'm sorry, I can't really see out of one eye." this whole side of my face was just like a red rash, and then this eye was like swollen shut. And she's like, "We need to get you like flushing your eye out in the bathroom like now." She was like, "Oh my god." And then she was like, "Do you think you can still attempt to take the exam?" And I'm like, "Don't I have to?" And she's like, "Well, I can't give it to you another day, but I can say screw the timer. We don't have a timer on the exam anymore. You just do it at whatever pace you can do it." So we walked around outside for a little bit, hung out with a crow. She was like, "Let's just go to the big giant room, and then no one will be in there, right? So you could just take the exam there." So we gather up all the stuff. I get sat down, start working on my exam a little bit more. Like 15 minutes later, in come a ton of maintenance guys. And apparently they had decided to use that room to store a bunch of printers that we hadn't really paid attention to that were all along the wall. And they are using dollies to slam around and clonk around these giant printers. And she's like, "Stop, stop, what are you doing? I have someone taking an exam." And they were like, "Oh, we thought the exam was scheduled for later." And she's like, "Oh, but this is an accommodation student." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So they just start shoving all of these giant printers out into the hallway that's in front of this room. Well, then they keep coming in and out of the doors and pointing around in the room where they're going to put the printers when the exams are over, and talking back and forth with each other. It is like, "Oh my god, will you stop coming in and out every time, like every like 4 minutes, you know it." So finally they stopped doing that. Start working on my exam again. Like 15 minutes later, I hear behind me where she's sitting, "Oh no. Oh God, no. Why?" And I'm like, "Oh no, what's happening?" And she just starts furiously typing super fast. And I'm like, "Oh my God. Oh my God. Don't think about it. Just don't think about it." I'm like, "I can't get this calculator to work," was the next thing that went wrong. Finally, I'm, you know, I'm like, "Okay, things seem to be going good." It's been like 20 minutes. And then people start showing up. I told her, "I think I have an answer on every question. I don't know if they're good answers." I got to a point where I was so distracted that I could no longer write the answer. So instead, I started writing exactly how you get to the answer. I explained, this is what you put and this is what you do to get to this answer, because I could not think up the answer and I couldn't get the calculator to cooperate with me very good. And so she said, "Okay, this will work." And I was like, "I'm so sorry. You tried so hard. You tried to give me accommodations." And I feel like it was just like a series of unfortunate events. And she's like, "No, I'm so sorry." She's like, "When I was behind you and I started freaking out, it was because," and she volunteered this. No, I didn't ask, but she said, "My TA sent my calculus 2 students the exam. So they were about to come here in less than an hour to take an exam that they knew all the answers to. And I had to write a new exam like in less than an hour." And I was like, "Man, that sucks." It really has been a rough day. Well, apparently, after I left, she talked to me this week. Apparently, after the whole real exams started with everybody, she caught a student taking pictures and using AI on their phone to answer the questions on the exam. And I kept apologizing to her and saying I was the problem child of the class. And she's like, "No, you were not the problem child of the class. That student, that was the problem child of the class. You're fine." She was like, "Honestly, you were really great to work with, and you were fine." So anyway, I talked to her this week, but before that, I saw my grade. The grade I got was a 98.7. I was shocked. I was like, "There is no way I deserve that grade." I had to have gotten at least 8 wrong. Like, what in the world? So this week we happened to be, she, came to the event. She was like, "I want you to know, I didn't have to like skew things. I could tell what you were trying to do. I could tell on the questions where part of something was written like on a side, but like half of the number wasn't written, that you probably just couldn't even see out of your eye. And then I could tell the places where you got distracted. You'd like answer several right in a row, and then there'd be a question where I could tell you were." She said it was very interesting looking at it. And she said, but even when you were struggling, I could tell your reasoning. Like I could understand that you understood the math. It wasn't the math that was the problem. She said, I had no doubts about promoting you to go to other math classes or move on to other things. I feel like very confident that you understood the content. And to me, that's what the test is to demonstrate that. So she gave me answers like fully correct for ones where I didn't put the answer, but I just explained what I was doing and things like that. I can't believe she did that. That was extremely generous of her. She did not have to be that nice, but she was. But because of this whole debacles of experience, like I said, I kind of lucked into keeping my 4.0 status. Uh, I needed to get my ADHD and everything re-diagnosed. And let me tell you, when you don't have access to your medical records that are older than like say the last like 8, 10 years, whatever it is, that makes things a little difficult. And then on top of that, I've been re-diagnosed multiple times in adulthood with some of my stuff like PTSD or major depressive disorder or gender dysphoria, stuff like that. I've been diagnosed as an adult. I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was a teenager. um I don't remember how old, but the point is it's been a long time, and I will not deny that there's been a lot of times in my life where I was like a little imposter syndrome about it. Like, oh, I know people who have ADHD and they're so much worse than me. So obviously I don't have it. Or if I do, it's pretty mild. And I shouldn't make a big deal out of it. And like I shouldn't complain. And I'm not really like disabled like other people. And it wouldn't be fair for me to say that. Then I go get re-diagnosed. um, so all of my disorders, everything across the board, are severe. All of it. My underdeveloped nervous system is about the. So I have an adult mind, but I have the nervous system of a 3 to 5 year old. Yay me! Not great, but whatever. And then I have severe, despite how much my depression has improved since starting testosterone, apparently it's still considered to be severe. So the depression, the horrifying dysthymia that I had my entire life, um, it must have been super mega severe. Like it should have been. I guess it was like I can, to me, my depression that I have now is so much less intensely, horrifyingly bad than that. Like it's still not great, obviously. Depression's not great, but it's better than that was. And yet it's still severe. And she was like, you also have tested for generalized anxiety disorder. Do you want me to put that disorder on your list of disorders? And I was like, who wants that? Who would want to have generalized anxiety disorder? Can we can we just say it's my PTSD? And he said, we do not have to give you the disorder if you don't want it. I'm just letting you know you definitely have it if you want it on record. And I'm just like, do I not have enough shit wrong with me? Like, do we need to add another thing? But I have severe gender dysphoria, severe PTSD, and severe ADHD. So I did not remember what kind of ADHD I had. I remembered there was more than one kind, but I did not remember how many. And I kind of didn't really pay attention when I was a teenager. And ha ha ha, I know that's so funny because I'm talking about ADHD. Such a funny pun. But no, seriously, I when I was a teenager, I did not pay attention to the diagnosis. I kind of ignored the whole thing. And I probably should have paid more attention to it throughout my adulthood and my life. Like, I knew on the back burner of my mind, oh, yeah, this is a thing that I have. And they said that's why I'm highly dependent on routines and structure and stuff, because otherwise my brain just goes everywhere and in tangents. and stuff, but I didn't really pay attention. And it turns out I have combined ADHD. There's uh, three different kinds. There's inattentive, is type number one. Type number two is hyperactive slash impulsive. And then there's combined where you have both. So you, in order to get diagnosed, you have to go through this list of things with an actual psychologist and stuff, and they have to help determine, based upon previous diagnoses, based upon your behavior for longer than 6 months to a year, depending on which kind of behaviors that you've been dealing with them, and whether they could be caused by something else or are specifically a symptom that maybe overlaps with something else, but is not necessarily caused by something else, like all this stuff. Well, anyway, so I have the exact amount of inattentive that you can have to be considered inattentive. I don't have every single symptom. I have an exact amount. And because I have the exact amount, I am combined. But you are not combined if you only have a couple of the symptoms, but not enough to actually be diagnosable as an intent. Hyperactive slash impulsivity, on the other hand, 100% of them, and not just, oh, yes, this is an issue, but going down the list, it's severe, 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 severe. I am apparently very severely um, leaning, even though I am combined ADHD, I lean very strongly toward hyperactivity slash thing. And on the one hand, I'm always fidgeting, I'm always moving, I'm always doing something. I can't hold still. I stand a lot of the times that other people are sitting. I I get that there's been obvious signs, and I've always just thought I was annoying and that other people really found me that way. And the thing is I'm either like full on shut down, depression mode, or else I'm a little bit of a intense person sometimes. And thankfully, um, I met a professor who figured out a way to turn that into me being a passionate person that people like that. But most of my life, I was just kind of too much. And I, I have found myself being more capable of forgiving myself for being the way that I am since I got the diagnoses. At first, it was a little depressing, being like, oh my gosh, there's just so much wrong with me and it's all severe. Ooh. But, you know, despite the embarrassment and despite feeling like that, it is helpful. It is a relief. Like when I was getting ready to do the speech, I was sitting there listening to other people's speeches and I couldn't stop wiggling in my seat and moving my feet around. And usually I'm like so frustrated with myself and wonder if everyone around me is just so annoyed by me. And I started to feel that way. I started to feel like, oh God, the person sitting next to me is so annoyed. And then I thought, it's not my fault. And I don't usually think that. And so, even though it was unpleasant, it's a good thing that I got re-diagnosed with everything. Um, Even besides having accommodations on record in case I need them, or if there's an exam in a giant room like that again. I will say severe gender dysphoria is not fun to talk about and think about, especially when you feel stuck. I just feel so stuck. I feel like I don't know what to do. Like, what can I do? I want surgery so freaking bad, and I can't actually get myself closer to surgery, and that's so frustrating. And I don't know what to do about it. So the thing that I can do something about is my career and is school. So I have been submitting papers to conferences. I'm actually working on one right now. For another one, I've been, like I said, doing this event and speaking and stuff, which was fun. It was good. I really enjoyed it. But I mean, a standing ovation. Who wouldn't enjoy that? But like, okay, definitely there's some people I can think of who would not enjoy that. But they wouldn't have ever gotten on the stage to speak in front of that many people in the first place. Like there was at least probably like 300 people, and that's, you know, way too much for the people that I'm thinking of who would not enjoy it. Like they probably wouldn't even like a room of 20 people to stand in front of them and speak. The point is it was fun. It was good. And I'm basically pouring myself into other things to distract myself from being upset about the things that I can't do something about. So, which I do. I do that a lot. I've noticed. On the plus side, I seem to have really developed some really good friendships with people and made like some really good friends. They couldn't go to the event that I was speaking at, but when I got done with it and I went to go get lunch, they were there at the cafeteria just waiting. They had been waiting for me, and they just wanted to hang out with me. And people kept stopping me to talk to me and tell me how much they appreciated my speech and stuff, and give me hugs and shake my hand and whatever. And they would just wait. And it must have taken like 45 minutes for us to finally go get sat down in a lounge and be able to like sit and eat and talk together. And they still hung out and they didn't leave. And some of them had a couple of things to do, but they came back. And at one point, the adrenaline left all my system, and I was suddenly very tired. And they said, okay, nap time. And so I fell asleep for 20 minutes. And when I woke up, they were still there, talking softly, some of them, catnapping some of them. And they still waited. They just wanted to spend the day with me and be supportive and celebrate me. I felt like completely blown away. I've never like I've never had that, and it was so touching. And even when I went to leave, I could carry all my stuff, but they were like, "Oh no, 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 let us help you carry stuff." And so like one person just carried a water bottle. That was it. Like I didn't need them to carry the water bottle, but they did, just so they could walk me to my car and make sure all the way till the last minute that I knew that they were my friends. And I told them I love all of you guys so much. you know, like even when I woke up from my nap, I heard one of my friends saying to another friend who hadn't seen it, "Oh yeah, all these people kept coming up to shake his hand and hug him and tell him how great the speech was." Like it was amazing watching him do that. But that's what I woke up to, listening to one of my friends tell another friend that. Like I really, really love my friends. Super appreciate it. It's amazing to me. But yeah, as far as my personal transition goes, trying to rectify things that were not in my control when I was little. It's apparently still just all outside of my control, even as an adult. I never wanted to end up in this position in the first place, but here I am. And all I can do is try to be grateful for the things in my life that are not going as bad as this is going and try to hold on to that. But yeah. On the plus side, she did say that the place that bought her out for the electrolysis place that was far, far away, that took Medicaid, she did say that in October at some point she was hoping that she would be able to reach out with information. So hopefully that will have happened by the next time that I do an update. Fingers crossed.